All right. Hi, this is April Yvette Thompson coming to you live from Marrakech. As you can see, I am in my apartment in Morocco in the city of Marrakech in the neighborhood of Galiz. And oh, look, I have to wave at Donna for joining us. Hello, Donna. So, hello. Oh, I like this. You can talk to people. It's like we're all in the same room. Okay. So I am very excited. I haven't been doing videos or too much in the past week since I've been here. Oh my God. Today's Tuesday, right? Oh my God, it makes it 1 week I've been in Marrakech. Okay, I'm gonna calm down now. In Marrakech, I have moved to Morocco and I am living in Marrakech, which is on the Atlantic Ocean. And it's where our Dreaming Morocco tour will end November 1st through the 17th. So the purpose of this video is, thank you, darling, is to share a bit of my journey, which I've been doing in the group and on my Instagram page, which is just my name, April Yvette Thompson, and how I got here. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that while we wait for folks to join us and ask me questions. I mean, Donna's here. Who else is here? If you have questions, you can give them to me now. You can just type your questions and I will answer them. Anything you need to know about Morocco, or I keep getting the question, why did you decide to move? I don't know if I was ready for magic to happen in my life or if magic just happened. But suffice it to say, magic just happened. And I booked a teaching gig in Switzerland. A friend from college who I had not talked to in 20 years, you know, whatever. She found me online, which is very easy to do because I'm all over online. And she asked me about storytelling, and she saw my TED Talk, and she's like, storytelling and finding your authenticity and all that is really moving to me, which is what my TED Talk is all about. This process called Dreaming Out Loud. And her name is Laura Penn. She's a genius. And she was doing a conference in Switzerland. And she was like, so do you want to come and teach storytelling to executives for 2 days in a castle in Switzerland? And I was like, who doesn't want to go teach storytelling in a castle in Switzerland? So I was like, you're not gonna cost me no money. It's a job too. What? Okay. Expenses paid. Let's go. Do it. So it was 3 days. 2 days. Sorry. So I went in 2 days early. So I was in Lausanne. I hope I'm saying that right. My French is abominable. For 2 days. And thank you, Donna, for telling me my TED Talk was good. Thank you so much. I had a lot of fun. And it was an aha moment for me. I mean, all of my teaching is an aha moment, right? Like the last video I got all these questions from folks that were like clear. People hadn't really read clearly about the trip, but they weren't thinking about, wow, I'm going to another world, not America, a planet. And so then I got upset and then I did a video. That's probably not a good idea. But I realized all of my aha moments happen when I feel emotional about something. And I have felt emotional about Morocco since I was 6 years old. This is hi, Valinda, how are you? And so I was 6 and my dad was showing me this book called The Adornments of Africa. I love this book. It's a big coffee table book. And it has different ways that Africans have created beauty. And it begins with the Maasai, and then it moves into North Africa. And I started seeing the Tuareg people of Mali. And then I learned that the Tuareg people were closely related to the Berber people of Morocco. Of course, they share a border, which back in the 12th century wasn't a border. They were just people who traveled across the desert. And hi! And it was interesting that even as a little kid, I was like, that, Daddy, like the tapestries, the henna tattoo here, and here and here. The women who own their own cattle, right? Who own their own Bedouin tent. And those families traveled all the way to China, back through the Sahara, and brought everything that we love in the West to the West. And they did it through the desert with some camels. And in the process, they made this beautiful art, beautiful rugs, beautiful silver jewelry. Like I'm wearing a Tuareg ring. Beautiful pillows, beautiful fabrics and covers, beautiful spices. What is it? What type of sideways videotaping? Am I sideways? Oh, that's crazy. It's because I'm trying to charge my phone at the same time. Okay. All right. It's telling me. Okay. Is that better? Is that better now? Video is blurred, but I'm hanging in there. Okay. All right. Okay. So you guys might want to try. I'm also broadcasting live on Rewrite Your Story, which you can just click to. It's in the link. Okay. Okay. All righty. So I'm not upside down anymore, right? So, Valinda says, carry on. I will carry on, Valinda. So what was I saying? I was saying about these women who had this just amazing art and beauty. And then I started studying about Madrid, and then how the Moors of Spain were run out during the Inquisition. It was the Moors that made all the beautiful work in Barcelona, and those are the same people that came back to Morocco. They're related to the Tuareg and the Berber. And oh, it's all pixelated. No, stay with me. Stay with me. Some of that is interference because I'm not close to my router, but it'll kick back in. So I was always in love with the art, right? And anybody who's seen my apartment, it is like a global ethnic apartment. But in particular, I loved the arts of the Berber people because I was drawn to it. And then I had the food and I was like, child, please stop. Stew every day, basically stew. We just eat stew all the time with fresh bread, like French bread. What? Sign me up. So even as a little kid, I loved the tribal people from this part of the world. And Mali is also part of this world, but it's got some problems now with war, so it's not safe. But Morocco's been safe for a long time. So I was like, I'm gonna go to Morocco one day. That's what I'm doing. Right after I become a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, and an actress, I'm going to, and then maybe a few novels, I'm going to Morocco. So back to Switzerland, where I'm teaching storytelling in a castle in Lausanne. Aloha. I was like, sign me up. Okay. It was amazing. I met amazing people, like amazing people. Anila and a bunch of people. So I was so close. Do you know what I mean? Like I was so close to Marrakech, and I didn't have anything to do afterwards. So I was like, why am I not going to Morocco? So I went online and I looked up some trips. So I was like, well, I have my Lonely Planet Morocco, because that's what I do. When I want to go somewhere, what I do is I buy the Lonely Planet book. Lonely Planet, y'all need to be giving me some money because I'm plugging y'all. It's a genius book. When I went to Greece by myself, I picked up Lonely Planet. And I put that intention in the world, I'm going to Morocco. So I bought the book years ago. I opened it and I was like, I could do one of these tours. So I just went online and bought the first tour that seemed sensible. I didn't even think about it. I was like, what's going to encompass most of the country and what's at least 15 days? And I bought it. And then the ticket from Spain was like $122. What's not to love here? The ticket from Switzerland. What's not to love here? So I popped up, bought the ticket, everything went on the credit card. I didn't spend any money. Screw it. I was like, and I was in Morocco. I didn't think about it. I didn't plan it. I was just there. And it was amazing. It was amazing because I had no expectations. I had no plan. I just wanted to eat beauty and meet the people who I found beautiful. Um, and people were like, they're notorious for being so kind. And I was like, well, that'll be nice. I was like, I've usually found when I've traveled through Africa, people need to be warmed up a little before they're kind. I got to figure out if I'm a American or a good person. Uh, so for the minute I got here, people were so kind. Like, people didn't speak English, but they made an attempt to communicate with me. I've never been any place like that. They certainly don't do that in Europe. You don't speak the language, they're like, but bye. Like, they're like, that's on you, right? Not here. And it was beautiful. And I've never been a fan of the desert. Not really. I love the beauty of the desert now. It's so beautiful. And I think it's because Moroccans, because they were the gateway, these people who traveled across the desert to bring supplies and beautiful stuff, that they were constantly in contact with different people. Throughout history, they have been in contact from China, all right, through the desert, all across the continent of Africa. They did business. They were the original merchants. So if you have from the 12th century been making your living by going through 50 different countries and selling your wares, you're not afraid of strangers. You're just not. Because you've learned that how you're going to eat is by doing business with strangers and figuring out a way to communicate. And that's when I realized, okay, so the Moroccan sort of code of behavior is always be kind to guests. Guests are honored people. And I was like, oh, that's where the kindness comes from. There's actually no fear of foreigners. And that was unique. Like, the expectation is that there's always going to be foreigners passing through, right? And it's been that way since the 12th century. And as you travel through these towns and villages, you're actually in houses and shit that have been there since the 12th century. And in Fez, which really blew my mind, which is like the third stop on our Dreaming Morocco tour, you go through the marketplace, which is, if you guys didn't see my last video, they're built like enclosed fortresses inside their beautiful gardens and fountains. People have lived in those structures continuously since the 12th century. And wait for it, the same family has been living in the same house since the 12th century. What? I was like, what? Okay, so if you have a culture that's like, this is how we do it, and people just come in, what you got to trade. We have a marketplace that's bigger than any marketplace you've ever been to. It's several football fields wide. It is bigger than a mall, right? That's what the country's economics were built on for so long. So they're not afraid of strangers. They actually welcome strangers, because Morocco, we talk about being a melting pot here. We're not really. Morocco was a place where there was an Inquisition. Now, the Moors didn't have medicine, healthcare, and all that great stuff Spain didn't have all that until the Moors came over, and they were like, oh, y'all need doctors. We studied with the doctors at Timbuktu. We're going to heal you, okay? The Moors were brilliant. Art, architecture, health, that's what they brought to Europe. Well, then the Inquisition decided we got to kill everybody that's an infidel, that's not Christian. So the Moors were like, okay, you try and run all this stuff that we built in Spain without me. Bye-bye. And they took their black selves back to Morocco until these people got some sense, right? So in Sudan, there was war. People from the Sudan migrated across, and Morocco was like, come on, right? The Jews running through everywhere, getting kicked out, beat down, burnt up. What? They were like, can we come to Morocco? Morocco said, come on. Because Morocco figured out that their strength was bringing people in and making them Moroccans. So when Hitler came for the Jews in Morocco, and he asked the president to turn over all his Jews, or he would overrun the country, the president told him, not the president, the king told him, there are only Moroccans here. So the strength of the culture, I've been trying to put the two pieces together about why people are so kind. It's because they see your presence as a foreigner as an opportunity to enrich their culture. And that's really what's working here, is oh, wow, you're different. Let me see what you're doing. And at the very most important part of it is there's no fear. And I'm a person that's like, I would not say I'm fearless, even though I seem crazy and I'll do anything. I'm passionate. I get angry real fast and then I'm done. I don't hold on to shit. And I'm curious about the world and I'm curious about knowledge. I want knowledge. I want to know. I want to live every moment of this life without regret, right? I want the freedom to do that. And I want to be someplace where people are fearless like that. And that's what I found in Morocco. See, because they've had to be, you know? I came in with all my stuff about being Black and nobody's going to like me and ooh, all that exhausting American shit. And you know what? Nobody cared. And I have a couple of theories about that. So Morocco has 50% unemployment. Okay. Yeah, it's real. And they have started this cooperative movement of employing women and giving them space and support if they want to start co-ops to sell what they've been making since the 12th century, rugs, argan oil, perfumes, those things that you could only get here, right? So I lost my train of thought. So when I got here and met people, they were all busy in trying to start their own businesses. That was one. It was great. And nobody was afraid. That's been my biggest thing in America. You're so intimidating. You're so intimidating. I was like, that's exhausting. It prevents us from having an exchange, right? I feel like, Donna, if you're getting a lot of in and out, then you should go to the Rewrite Your Story page because I'm broadcasting there too, and it may be clearer. So it occurred to me, this place is a lot like me. I was like, I stopped acting because I was like, oh, auditioning for people is like being on a slave plantation. I'm always looking for a job and I'm counting on them to give me a job. Not so much, thanks, bye. So I then was like, well, I'm going to teach what I know. Great. And I'm going to start my own business. How am I going to do that? I don't know. I will figure that out later. Hi, Barbara. Barbara, why aren't you coming on this tour? It's going to be so good. So this felt like the perfect place for me. You know, it felt like this is a place where people who are refugees, what I like to call third culture people, right? Third culture, meaning you have within you 3 different cultures. So the idea of being afraid of other cultures wouldn't occur to you. It feels like enrichment, right? So I'm going to invite some more people to this call, to this. Let's see what happens. So when I got here and I was like, okay, you have a culture where people are fearless. You have race. That's what I was talking about. Because my first day in Casablanca, which is where we meet November 1st for the Dreaming Morocco retreat, we start in Casablanca. And Casablanca is the capital. Casablanca is where the movie Casablanca. Okay, you're gonna love it. I was trying to remember the name of the movie with Humphrey Bogart that took place here in Casablanca. And I was like, there's a movie. It was filmed. It's famous. Everybody knows it. It's Humphrey Bogart. It was filmed in Casablanca. What's the name? What's the name? What's the name? And a Moroccan man was sitting in a cafe and he said, Casablanca. I was like, oh yeah, that's the name of the movie because I'm an idiot, right? Okay. Right. So I got to Casablanca and my luggage was delayed. And I was like, shoot. And my taxi wasn't there from the travel company. And I was like, shoot, I don't know. You know, it's Africa. You don't know what the rates are. You know, people could charge you anything. Okay. So I finally get to my hotel. They finally get, you know, the company sends the driver. I get to a hotel. I have no luggage. I meet the concierge. His name is Mustafa. And he speaks a little English, mostly Spanish. People speak a lot of Spanish here. And their accents are beautiful. So I go upstairs, he gets me situated. I come down the next day and I'm still wearing the same dress. And he was like, what is this? I was like, you okay? like I slugged in my dress, and he's like, oh, my luggage got lost. And he's like, what did you tell me? And he's like, where's the paperwork? And I give him the paperwork. He calls them and he like yells at them for like 10 minutes. And he's like, your luggage will be here at the airport in 3 hours. I already reserved a car to take you and get it. I was like, okay, now let's get you some clothes. And I was like, okay. And he takes me out. And on the way there, and I told this story in my last video, which I call the please don't tell me you're a vegetarian and you want to come to Morocco video. I need to rename it. I'll send you guys that video. It's very funny. The vegetarians didn't think so. But it's a very fun video. I tell this story about me and Mustafa getting clothes. But what's really funny about this story is that as I was coming out of the hotel, crossing the street to go to the factory where they make clothes, essentially, this man said, Nutella, you're beautiful. How are you? Come, drink coffee. I was like, and then Mustafa was like, la, 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 la. I was like, well, what'd you say to him? He's like, not right now. We're in a hurry to get you clothes. I was like, oh, okay. Not that he called me Nutella. And Mustafa was my color. And I was like, it's not racism. There is racism. Everybody told me that I was going to have to wear a veil in Morocco and there was going to be racism. Everybody told me a veil and racism. I was like, none of that shit happened. None of it. I asked my guide, I asked Mustafa, and he was like, he pulled out a picture of his kids. He's like, there's a couple that are blonde. And then this one's really, really dark, like my grandfather who's Sudanese. And then this one, he looks Spanish or something. We don't know what happened. And his wife's brown. And I was like, it's like, it's a way to identify people. It's not bad. It's like everybody likes to eat Nutella. It tastes good. So I was like, oh. And then I got called chocolate. People were like, oh. I was like, oh, this is a good thing. This is just like identifying. Oh, okay. And then I was like, well, people don't like intermarry or date or. And my guide was like, Rashid was like, nobody cares. Shut up. He's like, nobody cares. Are you a good person? That's what this video should be called. Are you a good person? That's it. That's it. Because that's what people cared about. So then when I got back here to the States and everybody's like, well, you were just around some enlightened people. And then some white guy on my page tried to explain to me what I didn't understand about Morocco. Can you imagine? He ain't been to Morocco now. You from Ireland. And he telling me, well, you understand oppression there. And then he proceeded to explain oppression to my black ass on the internet. I was like, where are you? And he's like, Ireland. I was like, you're right, guy from Ireland. Have you been to Morocco? He's like, no, but I wanted to explain to you how patriarchy works. I was like, block. So I was like, but that's not the experience I'm having. And since I'm open to people, it could all turn out really well. Okay. So the second theory that I have about why people, because I got lots of black people said that to me here. They're like, you didn't experience racism. And then all my friends from African countries, from Ghana, from Zimbabwe, from Nigeria, they are racist. They are racist. They call people monkeys. And I was like, ain't nobody call me a monkey. I was like, they call me chocolate and then they cook food for me. So I'm sorry. I don't know. They invited me to their homes. That's more than anybody in any other African country did for me. So I don't know what to tell you. And then it dawned on me as I saw these sisters walk past me with dreadlocks who were Senegalese. I was like, this is about economics. This is about economics. I was like, in a country of 50% unemployment, in a country that actually takes every single person that says, I am a political refugee. I bet you I could make a case for being a political refugee from the United States, given that they're killing black people and that man is in the White House. I could make a case. Morocco takes every single refugee. There's tons of people here from Libya, and they have since when? The 12th century. But they still got 50% unemployment. So I would bet you there's some tension there around people from other places, just like we have in the United States, people from other places coming here who are competing for work in a workforce that's already so depressed and struggling. I would wager some racism lives in there. I mean, we say that in the United States, but We ain't had no 50% unemployment since the Depression. So I don't know what the fuck people be talking about. Like, we got to send the Mexicans home. They're taking our jobs. What jobs? Like, we ain't got 50% unemployment. They got 50% unemployment, right? So I could see that. But at the same time, kindness extends to people who are in trouble. So all that bullshit nobody's hearing about, Moroccans keep on taking Libyan families running across the border. We never hear that. You hear, oh, this country ain't taking them, and that country ain't taking them, and that might be terrorists. You also never hear about terrorists in Morocco because it is religiously tolerant. And there's a law against proselytizing. Did you know that? It is illegal to try and convert somebody to your religion. It don't matter what religion you are. There's Christian women married to Muslims, they don't care. That's your business. If you're atheist, might be a problem here because they really believe in God. But they're like, but don't be preaching to other people because that divides a country. That's just good common sense. Plus, as my guidance sheet says, we're Muslim light, you know. We're like, keep the peace, be curious about other people, Muslim light. So there were a lot of factors at work. And I was like, okay, I could see that tension happening in the workforce of people resenting refugees for taking their jobs already in a workforce that's so depressed. I could see that. I can see people coming in and not being open. Like some of the people I traveled with were not open. They acted as if all Moroccans were their servants. And in a culture where kindness is king, that really resonates. And people don't speak on it. Like if you're just being condescending, Moroccans are not going to call you on it. They're not going to be like Black Americans. They're just actually just done. They're done. And you will watch them extend politeness to other people and not you. And they're not unkind. They've just peeped that their kindness isn't appreciated. So they're going to take it elsewhere. Very interesting, peaceful, like no problems culture. So I found that really inviting, right? Because, we're Black Americans. We go to the motherland. We're like, everybody's going to love us in the motherland. And in the motherland, this is going to happen. And I just thought all these things were going to happen in the motherland. And it didn't happen in a lot of places. Ooh, I'm going 0 again. Okay. Hi, Antoinette. Barbara, I'm trying to bring you on the camera. Okay. I'm trying to bring Antoinette on the camera. So I got this question over and over again. That's why Morocco. Because it was beautiful. And then I got here and I saw more beauty. And because people were kind, and I was emotionally drained of kindness. I was exhausted in America. I needed kindness. I watched everything I fought for fall apart, and people just become really horrific as human beings. And I was just done. I needed kindness. I didn't understand how much I needed kindness until I landed here. So that's why Morocco. Because it's freaking beautiful. Does anybody have any questions about the retreat before I go on? Because I'm going to talk about the itinerary a little. I got so excited by the women's co-ops and so excited by the amazing places that I saw and so excited by my tour guide, who's basically an anthropologist with a really wicked sense of humor. And his name is Rashid. And I love him. Like, he is my brother from another mother. And he supervises my shenanigans, and he's organized because he's a Virgo, and he is a Moroccan man. He's like father of everyone, ever loving and patient. And I would have 16 questions a day for him. And then I would always get lost on the tour and be like socializing with people, and then somebody have to go find me. So Rashid making the opportunity really easy for me, and me feeling at home everywhere I went, and people feeding me. And the chocolate ice cream here is Jesus came and made it himself. Of that I am convinced. So I made the move, and I was like, I want to bring other people back here too. And so I called Rashid. I said, I'm coming back. I'm moving back. That was my intention. I set the intention and then it happened. It was a little rocky, but then I just bought the ticket and everything fell into place. I have an apartment. I could sublet my own apartment. I bought the ticket. I got a subletter. I got an apartment for cheaper than anybody can imagine. I have a huge apartment in the middle of the city. I mean, it would be like having an apartment, I don't know, in Columbus Circle, looking over everything. I got a fabulous apartment. I'm not going to tell you how much I'm paying because then you'll be mad at me. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm just gonna lay that out there. It's not even a car note. So that's all I'm gonna say. So I said, I want other people to have this experience. I want women to get a break from fucking America. So like just a fucking break. That's one. 2, being stuck. Being stuck. I've done all the things that I was supposed to do. I went to the right schools. I trained with the right people. And I've hit a glass ceiling in my career. Or what's worse is I just hate what I'm doing. I don't care about what I'm doing. That's the worst kind of stuck. And that's where I was. And if you go to the Dream in Morocco page, on my website, you can go to thedreamunlocked.com and click on the Morocco retreat. It'll take you right to the page. I talk about this. And Mike Dooley says, massive change requires massive action. Massive change requires massive action. Okay? And I was like, oh yeah. It requires fuck it. This isn't working. I'm no longer going to worry about if this isn't working, should I stop doing it? And then, but only stop doing it when I have a backup. Fuck backups. Life is short. It's beyond short. I just hit the half-century mark and I'm really immature and I can't believe it. And I was like, oh shit. There's less time ahead of me than there is behind me. Oh, we need to do something. Massive change requires massive action. And massive action requires that you step outside of your comfort zone. It's kind of what I was challenging the vegetarians around. I was like, the vegetarian thing, very similar to talking to white women in privilege. It's a privilege kind of thing, and people are starving. And everybody wanted me to back off for that stance, and I'm like, no. I didn't know what I was going to eat here. I've been to other countries. I didn't like the food. I was like, but I want to break from America. So I need to try something different and stop trying to take who I am in America with me to Morocco, because then I want to experience Morocco. Right? And I was stuck. I'd done all the rules for my career. I'd gone to all the schools. I had all the credits. I had all the credentials. I could deliver the work. Nobody cared. Nobody cared what I cared about, which was the excellence of the work and the depth of story. And I was like, wow, I'm not getting satisfaction around my values here. So I started writing about my values, and it's what I talk about in my TED Talk and Dreaming Out Loud. The 3 steps to figuring out what's important to you, right? 1 is the morning pages. You start writing them and 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 start writing them, okay? 2 is making lists of things that you love, things that you hate, things that you're proud of, things that you've accomplished that give you joy, right? And then you go back through those morning pages and you look at the things that are on your list and the things you wrote about. Circle all the themes in those morning pages, right? And compare that to your lists. You're going to find that the things that you love are not an adjustment to what you're writing about every day. You're going to find that what you love to do every day is not even showing up in your daily day. It was this process that said to me, this shit here ain't working. I was like, it's not working. Hi, Hillary. Hi, Kathy. So I really realized that's when that Mike Dooley quote really hit home. Massive change requires massive action. And so I did one thing that I've always wanted to do, that I love to do. I didn't think about rules. I didn't think about pilot season. I didn't think about how am I going to make a living. I just did it. And guess what? When I bought that ticket, and just gave over to my heart's desire. Hi, Hillary. You don't have to come on video. My heart's desire. When I gave over to my heart's desire, what happened is the universe took care of the details. The universe took care of money. The universe delivered some residual checks. The universe delivered amazing subletters who were happy to sublet my cats. The universe took care of everything and made it easy. The universe was like, and you're going to save $1,000 a month. Watch. I was like, what? Because you're not going to need to spend money. I was like, I go out and eat dinner. I have a full meal. I have a tagine. I have dessert. I have Coca-Cola. It's like $3. It's cheaper than me going grocery shopping. So I eat my diet food all the rest of the day. And then I just go out to dinner every night. I was like, it's cheaper than the grocery store, right? Someone to clean my apartment so I can write. It's $10. Because I'm living like a local. I'm not living like an American. I'm not going and doing all the American things. I'm not going to all the American spas and the American movies. And I'm sitting in the cafes that are not in the tourist area. I'm sitting in the cafes that are in my neighborhood and living like a Moroccan. Right? Except I tip everywhere. And everybody's like, you don't have to tip. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding? I went to dinner last night and Mohammed, who always takes care of me at my dinner, Cafe Rita, he's like, I was like, oh my God, I really need to get some more water and some cat food. I have to go to the market, which is like 5 blocks away, not the little baby market across the street. And they're going to close soon, but I had already started eating dinner. And he was like, you have to go. You need water. You need to feed your cat. And I was like, okay. I was like, let me pay you. He's like, go. I was like, but it may take me like a go. In what country do you leave your diner, go to a market 5 blocks away, do major grocery shopping, take a taxi back, go to your apartment, unload the groceries, change shoes, and then go back to the restaurant and your food is waiting there for you? In what country, in what world is that happening? And he's like, yes, it's time. And then he brought out the tagine. He was like, it's already, I time to make sure. I figured, I know this place. It'll take you that long to get there and come back. And my tagine was ready. I was like, in what country does that happen? Kindness. So the huge leap. And as I was on this trip last year and charting what I was doing and what was going on for me, people were so excited. And probably because it was the randomness of it. None of it was planned. I just jumped on a plane and then jumped on a bus with some strangers and was like, let's go see the country. I treated it like, hey, y'all want to go to Summer Stage? Come on, everybody, get on the subway. Let's go to Summer Stage. That's actually how I treated going to Morocco. And I was rewarded. Hi, Brett. Brett's going to come to Morocco. And I said, as I was taking pictures and charting this on my Instagram and my Facebook, I said to people, I was like, you should come. And they were like, if you organize something, I'll come. So I talked to Rashid and I was like, I want to bring back like some women like me who talk a lot. And he was like, okay. I was like, is there an itinerary? He's like, I do the same itinerary did. I was like, okay. So then I sent it out in my email and 6 people signed up and gave me money. I was like, well, I'm really supposed to be here. Because I realized a lot of people were in the same place I was. I've done all the things that I'm supposed to do. I have achieved. And it's not important anymore. And I need something to feel important. I need something to feel fresh. I need something to feel new. I need something that feels like sunlight on my face. And when I use that phrase, run towards sunlight, I mean easy. Life is actually supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be complicated. So if you're doing something and it feels complicated and everything is breaking and falling apart, stop. That's actually not how life is supposed to be. And in America, where we like multitask 57 times and we do 57 things all at once, or we take a job and the job is like, okay, so you're gonna have to work all these hours so you can't take lunch. Then you're gonna have to do a 3-hour commute. Then after a 3-hour commute, well, we can only house you here in this hotel, but the hotel is really far away. And so you're gonna have to take a cab to the hotel at 2 o'clock in the morning when you get out, and then you gotta be back at the office at 7. Like, we're accustomed to everything being hard. And then I realized that's part of the problem. I'm exhausted. I've worked harder than everybody, and I'm not getting back sunlight as a result of that. that hard work. I'm just getting more hard work, right? Call it a midlife crisis, call it whatever you want to call it. But I was like, there's less time in front of me than there is behind me, and it's time to do something about that. And I reject this notion that life is supposed to be hard. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If it's really hard, you're not in your purpose. You're not in why you were put here. You're working against something innate, something that, hi, Michelle, you're working against your natural inclination, your heart's desire, right? That's what the morning pages and the list are. So before I go, I want you to ask yourself 3 questions and write about it. I'm going to be here every day at noon for the next 13 days, talking about my aha moments, adventures in Morocco, and also the retreat and some of the things we're going to talk about during the retreat. But I want you to ask yourself some questions. I want you to just take 10 minutes every morning and write for 3 pages, or as long as you can. And then I want you to answer some questions. If you weren't a woman, if you weren't Black, if you weren't gay, who would you be and what would you be doing? If none of the isms that you struggle with, your religion, your gender, your race, whatever, the thing that you struggle against that you feel is holding you back, who would you be if that didn't exist? Here's why. Because you can't create massive change until you can imagine the transformation. Let me say that again. You cannot create massive change in your life until you can imagine what that transformation would look like. Okay? So I asked the question, who would you be without your problems? Legitimate problems. If you weren't Black, if you weren't a white woman, if you weren't Jewish, if you weren't saved and Christian, if you weren't Muslim and veiled, who would you be? And what would you be doing? It's not an exercise in changing who you are. It's an exercise in reimagining what your story could possibly be, because that's how you create massive change, as opposed to complaining and whining about everything or finding something wrong with everything or going deeper into what is oppressing you and stopping you. What if it didn't exist? Because part of it is you can't solve the problem because you can't move the reality of this pain out of the way. The pain and the fight and the struggle has become your identity and your reality. So you're actually not present in who you are and what you love to do, right? So who would you be without your isms? The second question is, if you had all the money in the world and all the time, what would you be doing? Go into detail. Don't just give me one sentence. I mean, I can give you a whole 6-episode series of what I would be doing. First, I'm going to get the boat, and then I'm going to sail the boat through the Atlantic and go to Fiji. And in Fiji, I will meet people and I will learn how to make fabric from coconut husk. And then I'm going to get back on the boat, and then I'm going to go there. Because if you can't imagine it, you can't create it. You cannot create the massive change that's got you stuck, right? I'm just going to give you those 2 questions for today. Tomorrow, I'm going to come back with another question. But I'd like you to answer just those 2 questions. And if you want to post on my page or in the group some of your answers, do it. Do it. Do it. This video is going to be posted in the group, and it's also going to be posted on the link to my website. And let me just talk for a couple of minutes about what the structure, do people have questions about what the structure of the Dreaming Morocco retreat is like, now that I've wandered around for a long time? It's 17 days. And the really sexy good news that I have for you is that many people, Tamara Tooney asked me about this, they're like, oh, we don't know that 17 days, that's a long time. It's, we're actors, we get our jobs at the last minute, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there needs, I'm married, I have kids, I can't be away that long. And so Rashid and I came up with an answer. So there's a 17-day retreat that starts in Casablanca, starting on November 1st. we have added a second portion of the retreat that is only 9 days long. And it starts in Marrakech. How fun is that? How fun is that? So if you go to, I'm going to post the link at the end here to the page, you can see the 2 different retreats. I'm going to talk about the 17-day first. We start in Casablanca, the capital. I tell you my crazy story there. And then from Casablanca, we then go, I'm looking at my itinerary, where you're going to see the largest mosque in the world. It's absolutely stunning and extraordinary. Then we leave Casablanca after a day and we move to Rabat, which is a big surfing town. And it also has this original castle where a king lived. And they have all the guns and the cannons that they had there to keep the Spanish from overtaking them. It's a beautiful castle. I'll post some of the pictures. If anybody's seen me in those pictures overlooking, leaning against a wall, overlooking the sea, with looking down on boats, I'm at that castle. So we'll go to Rabat and we'll walk that tiny little city. And from there, we'll go to Chefchaouen, which is called the Blue City. And it's, just imagine Santorini with all those white little houses speckling the side of a volcano. Imagine them painted blue and pouring out into an ocean of sand. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I haven't been to Chefchaouen, and I always wanted to. And we figured out a way to add it into this tour using trains. So those first 3 days, starting in Casablanca, going to Rabat, landing in Chefchaouen, and staying over. Okay? That's the first 3 days. There is so much fun stuff to do. So I've told you about the castle. In Chefchaouen, the Blue City, you can buy handcrafted rugs and argan soap. I bought a black vanilla soap made of argan oil. It's extraordinary. It was just like pouring liquid butter on my body. And then my body was like, yes, I'm so happy, touch me. I was like, oh my God. And the woman and her daughters made the soap. So there's tons of stuff there. In Chefchaouen, you will see all the cultures sort of collide because there's lots of Andalusian, like from Spain, Spanish influences in this tiny little village, lots of art, lots of handmade crafts, and it's tiny and beautiful and blue, and you just walk up steps. You ever see those pictures about Morocco and you see that brilliant blue? You either see a man walking around in a blue robe in the desert or you see blue cities. Chefchaouen is the blue city. It's gorgeous. So I'm so excited about going there. So those will be the first 3 days. Okay. Now I'm not going to go tomorrow. I will talk about days 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we'll do a little bit each day and I'll send you some pictures. The second retreat. So that goes November 1st through the 17th. Those are the first 3 cities I gave you today. There are 17 more days. About 8 more locations, cities and towns, plus camping in the desert. So check in with me tomorrow at 12 noon, and I'll talk about the next 3 days, okay? Days 4 through 6. Now, for folks interested in the 9-day, the 9-day retreat starts in Marrakech on November 8th. I'm looking for the date right now. I don't want to call it wrong. And you start in Marrakech, then you go to the beach town of Essaouira, and that's where we're having a 2-day retreat where some of the stuff I just talked to you about dreaming out loud, the morning pages and the questions, all of that stuff that's in my TED Talk, I'm going to teach that process during the retreat so that we can figure out why you're stuck, what is it you actually want to be doing, and then some real concrete business strategy to get you doing it. Because I know some people have asked me about starting your own business and they're like, how are you moving to another country? How are you supporting yourself? I spent the last 5 years building a business that would allow me to be a digital nomad, to work for myself on my own terms, on my own hours, to set my own rate and not have to ask somebody to pay me something. And that's what I'm going to teach. Because people in Morocco ask me about that all the time. They're like, you have Instagram and you have business online. I was like, yeah, I'm completely online. They're like, how are you going to support yourself? Same way I support myself in the United States. All of my teaching, all my coaching, all my strategizing is virtual. All my classes are on my website now. I've been teaching since 2010, and I've recorded everything I've ever taught. So guess what? Now I can organize that into classes for people who can't afford to come and coach with me in person can always buy the classes in some version. And we can even package them and tailor them for people. So basically, people are like, how did you learn how to have an online business? Right? Because that's what gave me freedom. And that's also where my joy came from. My joy is setting my own hours and being able to be wherever I wanted. And so a lot of folks are like, I'm tired of doing what I'm doing. How are you doing this? So the 2-day retreat in Essaouira, which is a complete beach town. So we're going to eat food. All the food is included. We're going to eat seafood and fish and homemade bread and smoked food and fruit and vegetables. And vegetables are really big here. They're all really, 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 really fresh. We're going to eat until we're blue in the face, and we're going to do some dreaming out loud, and we're going to come up with some business strategies to help you create massive change in your life. But in order for there to be some massive change on your end, you've actually got to decide that you're okay with taking massive action. And in this case, massive action could be, let me just plunk down my $500 and buy this retreat and go and not think about it. Think about the rest later. I actually bought the ticket and I was like, I'll worry about the rest later. I'll worry about vaccinations. I'll worry about a backpack. I'll worry about luggage. None of that is important. What's important is that you take the massive action for yourself. And as my Dr. Owens always say, it's okay to be afraid. It's not okay to let that stop you, because that's when you stop living. So I would love for you to come on the retreat. That would be amazing. There are about 6 more spots. I would love that. I would love that if that's your massive action. If not that, do something else for yourself. Take a massive action that scares you. Leave the agent that you hate, even though you don't have another one lined up. Create the space for change. Until you trust that your desire to have a change in your life is legitimate and you deserve that change, nothing will happen. You have to take an action. You have to signal to the universe, you know what? I know some stuff needs to change, but I'm holding on to all this other stuff that feels safe. This marriage, this job, this career, this relationship. Fuck it. Take one massive action that is in line with your heart's desire. And it has to be massive. It has to make you a little uncomfortable. It has to get you out of your comfort zone. Because that, my dears, is when change will happen. The universe will catch you. People ask me, you moved to Morocco and you must have fallen in love. I was like, no, I was talking to somebody who lived in Australia. and another person who lived in France. And they were like, so I'm coming to New York. I was like, well, seriously, darling, I can't help you because I'm moving to Morocco. They're like, I'm sorry, but we might be falling in love. I was like, I'm moving to Morocco. So you do what you need to do. Because what I'm doing now is for me. My soul is drowning here. I can't even write or tell story. And what I love doing the most is rewarding me, which is teaching people online how to bust out and do what they love. Like I have acting clients that are series regulars. That's what they wanted to do. And I help them do that. That's incredibly gratifying, right? To watch Jillian Walker sail across the universe, teaching and writing plays, and Angela Lewis to be on primetime television in Snowfall. That was their heart's desire. And I helped them figure out a way to do that. But it was scary. They had to do things they'd never done before. They had to step out of their comfort zone. And I realized when I focused on teaching people that, that's actually what made me happy. And then the next thing I did was go someplace that I always dreamed of being. That made me happy. And I went by myself. I did that with Greece. I did that with Spain. I went by myself. Because it's something I wanted to do. It's scary to be in a country you don't speak the language. You might look different. Fuck it. If it's your heart's desire and it's calling you, go. It will be so much easier than what you're doing right now. Trust me. Because everything in America is really hard right now. It's really complicated. And it's because our values in America are land of the free, home of the brave. Everybody has a chance here. That's our value system that we've set up. And we are in maladjustment to that value system, which is why getting things done in the United States is so hard right now. Buying a house is hard. Opening a checking account is hard. Going to the market and finding food that's reasonable is hard. Getting health insurance that you can afford is hard. When you have the health insurance, the copays are more expensive than anything that you can imagine. It's hard. Everything in America is hard right now because we're not in alignment with our value system. Massive change requires massive action. What are you doing right now in your life that is not in alignment with what's important to you, with your value system? Stop doing it and do something that is from your heart's desire, that scares you a little. And that's what I'm going to leave you with. I'll be back tomorrow, 12 noon again. I will put the link to the retreat on this post. Does anybody have questions about the retreat? I know, Hillary, all my actors who were like, I can't go for 17 days. Well, nobody's got an excuse. There's 9 days. You start in Marrakech, you go to Essaouira, which is a beach town, 2 days for the retreat. And then after the retreat, we'll go to spa, hammam, and get rubbed and touched and sit in mud baths, and it'll be fantastic. Then we're going to go to Agadir, which is a huge surfing town. More beach. I love that. And then back to Marrakech, where we party. And Marrakech is kind of like the fabulous, like, village, you know, Chelsea, New York City, but more festive of Morocco, which is where I live. So, people, that's all I got. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, same bat channel, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. What time is that? That's 9 a.m. in Los Angeles. It's 5 o'clock where I am. I'll be back here. Maybe I'll go to a cafe and post from there. And then we have to like look at internet. All right, y'all. Love you. Mean it. Post questions in the comments. I'll answer. Bye. I think I'm turning it off. Mm-hmm.